Hi everyone, and welcome back to Million Billion Dollar Ball. This is episode 13, and today is going to be a solo episode with just me. Lee is currently in Italy right now. I think she gets home tomorrow, but she's a little sick and obviously super busy in Italy. So, yeah, today it will just be me. I'm just going to talk about a whole variety of different topics, like moving overseas, moving away from home the first time, some tips I've learned along the way, some funny stories, and yeah, just general like questions, I guess. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Okay, the first topic I want to talk about is probably my experience moving away from home at a young age. I think a lot of my friends actually come to me asking for advice when they've moved or like gone overseas. So yeah, I'll just share some of the tips I learned on the way. So I would say the first tip I would share is to not get too much like furniture or decor, or like don't over purchase, I would say. I think it can be really exciting moving away from home, like having a new environment. Maybe this is a girl thing, but like decorating and like going above and beyond, like getting things that maybe you don't need, or just overspending on things that it's hard to like pack up when you'll probably end up leaving there. So yeah, I mean, it's probably different if you're there for 3-4 years, but I would say for a lot of people, I don't know, first experience moving out of home isn't super permanent and can change very quickly. So yeah, I would say don't overdo it with your decorations. I would say get the bare minimum, and you can obviously add things and as you go if you feel like you need it. But yeah, just the necessities like pillows and yeah, things like that, and pots and pans. But try and get as cheap as you can, because I feel like it's not worth spending a lot of money on stuff that you probably will end up not being able to bring home, especially since if you were like overseas or like you can only get home by flying. So that is a tip for a lot of people. I know I didn't listen to that, and yeah, you learn very quickly that you don't need to pack your whole life away. But yeah, if you're worried about it feeling a little less homey, maybe like hanging some photos up and things like that, might be good. Another tip I would say moving away from home is just like giving yourself grace. Everyone probably goes through it at some point, moving out. It's such a huge change, no matter how old you are. So naturally, it's going to be hard at first. And I think the more you accept that and give yourself grace in that, the easier it kind of feels. Because if you kind of go in expecting you're going to love it, like from day dot, you're going to be let down very quickly. I would say even if you know a ton of people, you're still going to struggle and miss home or your family or your friends or your old routine or things like that. So yeah, just give yourself grace, and also know that it's not going to be that hard for the whole time. I would say give yourself a month or two before you fully like make a decision to like maybe go home, because yeah, also another thing is like the only way you grow is to put yourself in challenging situations. I know, pretty cringe, but it's very true. So know that it will get better and you'll adapt, but it will take time. And everyone's different. Some people take longer, some people it doesn't take as long. So yeah, just know that you're not alone and everyone is different. Okay, another tip is try and build a routine as quick as possible. If you're at uni, like kind of organize when you have classes and when you have other activities like sport or things like that. Build a routine around your new life, I guess, and try and keep yourself as busy as possible to avoid homesickness, I would say. I feel like building a routine also kind of helps you feel like you are kind of back at home. Like that's another kind of sense of something that you know. I thought I would share with you what kind of a day in the life looks like for a professional soccer player. And I'm just gonna say what it's like in America. So I've been in the US last year and now I'm in Canada, so it's kind of pretty similar kind of schedule. So I'll kind of generalize it, but I would say most professional teams are pretty similar. I know it is a little different in Australia. When I was there, they train super early because it gets really hot, but I think for the most part, it's probably pretty similar to what I'm about to say. So, a typical day of training for us, we wake up at, I think everyone wakes up different times, but here in Canada, we're expected to be at our facility at 10 a.m. So I wake up, I'm not an early bird, so I'm very much a night owl. So it depends what time I go to bed, but normally the latest I'll wake up is 9. Sometimes I wake up earlier. And then I will just kind of ease myself out of bed because, as I said, I'm not a morning person. Then we get to facility, we have breakfast for 30 minutes. You can get there earlier if you want to eat for longer. And then at 10:30 we have film. Now every club is different and every day is different in terms of film. Like sometimes it can be 30 minutes, sometimes it can be an hour, sometimes it can be longer, sometimes it can be shorter. So yeah, it depends on the day, but typically film is like 30 to 45 minutes maybe. So we watch film, which kind of varies from anything like opposition, analysis, like what we're going to do in our defending block or how we're going to exploit them in the attack, or it might be a review from the game we just played. Sometimes we have individual film where we have a coach and we talk about how our game or, individual matchups. Like sometimes I watch the centre backs from the other team and like see their habits and characteristics and things like that to see where you can catch them out, or just reviewing your game footage from the weekend with the coach. But anyway, we do that. Then we go into the locker room, get changed, stretch a little. Then we do our pre-activation in the gym or on a field, depends, which is kind of like little exercise, mainly body weight or with a band, and it's just to kind of warm your muscles up. It's a mixture of stretching and kind of low intensity, I don't know, activation, I would say. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like glute bridges, hamstring holds, things like that. Just to like help prevent injury and prep your body for the training. Then we'll warm up for training. We'll train for around an hour and a half, probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll finish that, and then we will go get our protein shakes, drink those. We'll have lunch, and then some days we will go to the gym, and then we'll do lower body, upper body, acceleration days, or things like that. So yeah, we'll do a gym. And then depending on the day, you get home pretty early. I think you get home like 2 to 3-ish, basically every day. So that means you have the whole afternoon off, which I think is nice, but it's also like sometimes kind of lonely because you generally don't, if you don't have plans or you don't have other activities outside of football, I think football can be a very like isolating and lonely lifestyle. Another tip I would say that I've learned along the way is just to like keep yourself as busy as possible. Make plans that you can look forward to, as many as you can, because at the end of the day, like football is so up and down. Like you could have the most amazing game and be on a high for a little bit, but then like on a low for another like 3 months. Like you just never know. So it's so important to like enjoy your life outside of football, because I think a lot of people that I've talked to who play football really do kind of struggle if they are too focused on it. And I think a lot of people I've also talked to have been like the best football I play is when I kind of I'm enjoying life outside of it, and I have other things that I am focusing on, and I genuinely don't care as much about my performance or like the outcomes of football, and you're just completely playing free, and who cares if it goes well and who cares if it doesn't. So yeah, that's my advice. Just make as many plans and say yes to as many things as you can. Also try and like have hobbies. I think like school's one. You could, I don't know, pick up arts. You could even like go for coffee with your friends every day, make some kind of routine, or yeah, just have things that you can do, because yeah, living alone on the other side of the world, if you don't have things that you do outside of football, it can be very, very, very lonely. So that is something I've learned the hard way. But I think now I'm at a point, especially with this season, it hasn't gone as well as I had hoped. So I've had to like learn a lot. And I think it's so important to try and enjoy life outside of football, and the things that I enjoy, going out, doing things with my friends. So I've tried to make as many plans as I can throughout the week, and yeah, just like really not isolate myself and kind of sit in my room all day, basically. So that is my tip. And also another tip for footballers is utilize as much help as you can. Like I said, football is a very like up and down kind of sport, roller coaster kind of sport. So yeah, like don't be afraid to ask for help if you are struggling, because I would say everyone on your team or like in the world of professional football, and honestly professional sports, struggles and goes through slumps, and it's so normal. And the best advice I can give is to ask for help, and don't be ashamed to ask for help, because at the end of the day, the help does help. So yeah, I think there's no harm in that and no shame at all. So that is some advice I would share. And also just kind of budget, I would say, is also a big one. Plan your meals and then do a grocery list from that, because I found the first time I moved away from home, I just kind of went to the grocery store not really knowing what I wanted or needed, and just kind of winged it, and often I'd have a lot of food going to waste at the end of the week. So yeah, just like plan what you're going to eat that week and then create a grocery list based on that. ChatGPT is really good for that now, so that's helpful. And I also think if it's like your first time kind of living by yourself or having to cook for yourself, it's a great idea to have 5 or 6 recipes or dinner recipes or lunch recipes that you know how to make, and it's easy. It's easy for you to do, because it is completely new for some people making their own food, and it can be quite daunting. So if you kind of practice that a little before you go, so you know how to do it, and it can be your go-to meals, and it's really helpful, because there's nothing worse than like overcooking something or like making something and it tastes really bad, and then you just wasted a bunch of food and you end up having to go get a takeaway or something like that. So yeah, just have some quick, easy meals that you're confident in making. That can also make your life a lot easier. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how I balance doing school with playing professional sports. And I would also say this is something I'm still learning how to do and continuing to try and honestly do better at, because I'm not the best at it right now. But some advice I should give myself and others would be to just like organize, honestly make a calendar and put when your trainings are and when your games are, and set aside times that you can study. And I know like you may have had a bad day at training, you may be super tired, and like that's the last thing you want to do. So just kind of like give yourself a few days or like a few time slots where like if something changes or if you're not feeling it that day, you still have time to do it another day, because I also think it's important to listen to yourself if you really don't feel like it and that's the last thing you want to do. Like if that's really gonna ruin your mood, like don't do it. And I know am privileged in the fact that I only do part-time, so I do have that grace, because I know some people who do full-time, they would not be able to just not do it one day. But yeah, I would say make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get those assignments in, and don't be afraid to ask for extensions if you need it. I know that I have had to do that a fair few amount of times. I've been in tours, I've had a game when an exam is, so yeah, just like ask as far in advance as you can, because that just makes it easier for you and the person trying to organize your extension. I would also say to start on time. I know that it's bad because I know that the first few weeks are like pretty chill and there's no assessment, so I kind of do a few lectures here and there and I kind of get behind very quickly. But I would say just be proactive and start at the start and try not to fall behind, because once you fall behind, it becomes a real like slug, like grind to get back up to date. Because if you do your university how it's intended, like 2 lectures a week and 2 workshops a week, at least for me, because I do part-time, it's so manageable. It's so manageable, and like it's actually not a lot of work at all. It's probably like 7 hours a week, maybe, if that. But like when you get behind, it starts becoming a lot of work each week. So yeah, just stay on top of it, and yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Okay, another topic I want to talk about is how to integrate into a new team or school or something. It can probably translate to a lot of different things. So maybe that's you've been called into a national team for the first time and you don't really know anyone, or you're going to a new club overseas or even in your city and you don't really know people. So I would say, again, give yourself grace. It's going to be daunting for everyone, but just know that everyone there has also been in the same situation. So they definitely know where you're at, and that also makes them want to be more friendly. And for the first week or so, they'll probably be like asking to hang out or like, do you need anything? And I would just say yes to everything. Try and be as bubbly and like smiley and talkative as you can, because that's how you build those connections and that's how you feel more comfortable and things like that. I think if you kind of isolate yourself and don't talk, and if they ask you to hang out and you say no, like that's when you kind of miss out on the opportunity to make those connections, because after the first few weeks they'll probably stop asking to hang out or like asking to do things, because you're not no longer new anymore. So yeah, when people are very kind and welcoming at the start, take them up on that, because that's when you are going to build those connections and then it will go from there. But if you don't talk or you don't say yes to like activities that are put on or things like that, you just kind of fall behind, and then it's really hard to make up those connections from there. So yeah, just really immerse yourself into the team. And yeah, I know that can be hard for some people, because naturally some people are more shy, and I would say I am quite shy at the start. But yeah, just do as best as you can. Another thing I want to talk about is how to maybe deal with slumps in your sporting journey, I guess. I think the main thing I've learnt from, struggling in certain periods of my career, I guess, is just the mentality, just keep showing up, keep stacking the days and keep showing up, because it's so easy to quit. And you know, there are so many times I want to quit. And I think people would have understand why I quit, I would have done it, and that's whatever. But I think showing up is so honorable, and it really shows a lot of character. And at the end of the day, like, you do have to kind of be grateful and like have a perspective, like, shift, that you are so lucky to be doing what you love for a living. You're healthy, you can play sport. The world will keep spinning if you miss a shot, or if you cause a penalty, or you get a red card, or have a really bad game, or have 10 really bad games. The world will keep spinning, and the sun will come up each morning, and your family will still love you, your friends will still love you. I think at the end of the day, a lot of that kind of weight that people feel when they are struggling in a sport is put on them by yourself, and I've learned that the hard way. Even if you are struggling, just show up. Just show up. Show up for yourself. Show up for the people who have driven you to practice for multiple years. Do it for the people who have supported you the whole way. That's where having other things outside of football, like hanging out with your friends, doing things that you like, so making plans that you have to look forward to, so that if you do have a bad day, you can get cheered up by, I don't know, going out to dinner with your friends or something later that day. Because football does not consume you, and this can relate to anything, but you're not defined by your performances. Okay, now I'm going to say a funny story from the Olympics that I thought would be kind of fun to share, I guess. When we were in France last year for our pre-camp before the Olympics, we had this training field, and obviously we went there every day, and then we had the changing rooms that we went in before and left all our stuff there. And for some reason, it didn't get locked that day, and we kind of went out to training, and it was all good and nothing out of the usual. When we go back to the change room to get our stuff and, get changed and head back to our hotel, some of the girls start where's my phone? And at the start, we hadn't all kind of looked, and obviously when someone says that, it's like, oh, I don't know, you'll find it, kind of thing. But then more and more people started saying, oh, where's my phone? And then eventually, 7 or 8 of us kind of had been missing our phone and couldn't find it. So yeah, that was a little suspicious. And yeah, we kind of figured, okay, someone has definitely come in here and stolen it. And we also worked out that the phones that got stolen were ones that were kind of out on the chairs, not in someone's bag. Because a lot of the girls that didn't get their phone stolen, they had it in their little boot bag. So the robber was clearly going in, just seeing what was there, picking it up, taking it, and yeah, so we got our phone stolen. We were I feel like we can maybe find these. At our trainings, all our trainings are filmed on the drone, so upon review of the drone footage of that training, we could see the changing room entrance. So we saw this man kind of lurking, and we also had seen this man multiple times throughout that week of training, kind of just wandering around, and I don't know, we didn't notice much of it. Maybe he was a fan or whatever, but we did see him that day of training, and he was looking a little sus, but we didn't think much of it. But anyway, he was wandering around, and then he went into the change room. So it was clearly him. We were like, okay, so he can't be far. So a lot of us just kind of wandered around. We knew what he looked like because he had this blue t-shirt on, very easily recognizable. So a bunch of us kind of wandered around the area, seeing if we could find him. We were kind of delusional. Another girl had her Find My iPhone on, so we were kind of following that for a little while, and eventually Find My iPhone was on a golf course. So our manager and the police ended up going to look there. The police did end up making an arrest and finding the guy, but no phones were found. So who knows what he ended up doing with it. That was kind of the last we heard of it, but it was pretty eventful, the Olympics for Team New Zealand. But yeah, kind of a funny story I thought I'd share. But I think that will conclude my solo episode. I hope you enjoyed and learnt some things. I know it wasn't as fun as they probably usually are, but a little more serious maybe. I hope that someone found some of the information interesting, or learnt something. But thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll have an exciting guest or two. So yeah, and Billy will be back, of course, for the next episode. So yeah, see you guys later.